Someone wants to know, how does the IRS treat cash transactions over $10,000?
So the IRS doesn't treat that at all. They don't care. If it's income, you got it declared. If it's expense, you just expense it, just normal. The people that do care is FinCEN. That's the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. That's under the Treasury. If you deposit $10,000 in cash, and the bank will typically have to fill out what they call a suspicious activities report, and they'll ask you, "Hey, where'd you get the money?" And basically they're trying to look for money laundering and drug trade, essentially. Now, people hear that and then they say, well, if that happens when I deposit $10,000, I'll just deposit $9,000. And that is a different thing called structuring, which is also illegal. So there is no loophole here. So if you intentionally deposit things in a way in order to evade these kinds of forms and questions, then that is the crime of structuring. And there was a case, oh, it was probably 10 years ago now. There was a defense attorney in North Carolina who was prosecuted for that and ended up going to jail because of it. So don't do that. If you transact in cash, it's fine. Just treat it like anything else. But just if you want to deposit it into a bank, that's your option. And if you do, and the teller asks you, "Hey, where'd you get the money?" Say, "Hey, I sold my car," or whatever wherever the source of the money is. Just say whatever the source of the money is, and they'll write that down on a form, and it will get submitted to the government. And then just know that you have to make everything square when it comes time to file tax returns. So where people get into trouble is if they're trying to cheat the system. So if, let's say, I run a convenience store and I deal with a lot of cash and some credit cards. So credit cards goes through a third party. I'm not going to be able to play with those numbers at all. If, let's say, $300,000 comes in through credit cards, then my tax return needs to show at least $300,000. But the cash, if I brought in another 50 worth of cash, do I report the full 50? And the answer is yes, you report the full 50. So if you are dealing with cash, then you put it in the bank account and you say, "Hey, I made this at my store," and then that doesn't line up with the receipts that you are reporting on your tax returns, that's where mismatches can occur and that's where investigations can begin. So just play by the rules and you're fine. And you have the extra hassle of the banker asking you a couple questions when you deposit the cash, and that's it. Now, whether you want to deposit cash or not and trust the banks with your money is, again, a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
Because if you look on my YouTube channel, there's an old video of probably like 2000, something like that, of me talking about how bank deposits are not yours because they're not. So under US case law going back to 18 something or other, when you deposit money into a bank, that money is no longer yours, even though your name is on the account. That's a loan that you give to the bank, and the bank may or may not ever pay you back. Okay. Most banks, how do I want to say this?